the process?
Actually, I'm in the process. I have my residency. Resident?
Residence.
Resident.
Green card or?
Yes, green card.
Okay, but your plan is to become a United States citizen, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you're from Mexico?
Yes.
I see. Okay, question for you. I'm wondering how to best frame this. I'll ask the question. I got to write it down here. So let's say once you become a citizen of the United States, perhaps even now, you're on the pathway to becoming a citizen of the United States. Let's say in a morally neutral, blame-free hypothetical conflict between the United States and Mexico, where neither side is right or wrong, to which country is your allegiance?
America.
Oh, okay. All right, that was easy. Anybody here have, like, your parents are immigrants or anything like that?
My great-great-great-grandparents are not.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it then. All right, just curious about that. Let's see then. Where do we want
I probably will get a lot of hate for that, but I don't care.
Well, I mean, look, to become a United States citizen, you're going to have to take the oath of allegiance. You have to renounce any fealty, loyalty, allegiance to Mexico, at least from a political perspective.
Yes.
You can obviously have lingual ties, cultural ties, familial ties that remain, but your political allegiance must be to the United States of America. In any case, you're down with the cause, so USA. Let's see here. We're going to jump right into something. Okay, Kayla. Let's see.
Oh, geez.
You want to revoke the 19th Amendment.
I said I don't have a problem with it.
She doesn't have a problem with it.
I'm not going to make the rules, but I wouldn't have a problem with it.
She wouldn't have a problem. So just for clarity, for the panel, the viewers, the 19th Amendment is the amendment which granted women the right to vote, women's suffrage. Kayla here, being the misogynist that she is, wants to, has no problem with it. So it's not clear if she would actually take affirmative steps to see it actually happen. But if it did happen, she wouldn't complain. Is that fair to say?
I would say so. I think if a man initiated it, I wouldn't have a problem with it.
She would not have a problem with it. Okay, some people, look, I don't know where I personally stand on that. I might be more feminist than you, but do any of the panelists have any thoughts on that?
Wait, which one? Amendment? Sorry.
She wants to essentially, she says she has no problem with women losing the right to vote in the United States.
To vote.
Yeah, to vote. Go ahead.
I wouldn't really care because we make amendments and revise them and take them out. So if that's the way they wanted to go and it went through the process, then I don't care.
Anybody?
I disagree.
Okay, why is that?
I think if you're a citizen of the United States, you should have the right to vote, no matter what. I mean, I think I remember previously that Andrew was talking about when women could, like, their vote only mattered if they were, like, married. Like, you had a family vote, right? Was that, like, a thing? Like, if you were married in a home with a man, like, you use your home, and that's your vote. So, like, I can understand that aspect, maybe, if that's where you were coming from. I'm not sure where you're coming from, but I disagree. I think that, yeah, simply, if you're a citizen, you should have the right to vote.
I just think based on so I'm super for nuclear families, kind of how America used to be. I wish we can go back to that. I don't see that happening anytime soon, but just based on those standards, typically it doesn't make any sense for a woman to have the right to vote, because if she did, there's no point of going against your own husband.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's just not the case, like, realistically right now with, like, our world now in the U.S.
Right.
Like, I live in an apartment by myself. I pay my own bills right now in this moment. It's like I have the right to vote. I pay taxes. I work here. I add to society.
That
And
makes
I benefit
sense.
society, so I think I deserve my right to vote, you know?
And you have a boyfriend, right?
I do.
Do you guys plan on getting married?
Yeah.
So when you guys get married, are you going to vote against him?
Why would I vote against him?
So why would you need the right to vote?
I would only marry someone that I have the same views as.
So this is perfect. There, in an ideal United States of America, there would be no reason for you to need to vote because you should be standing behind your husband, essentially.
I still disagree because I'm currently not married, so I deserve the right to vote in this moment. So when I get married to the man that I'm with right now, because we have the same views,
Yes.
I wouldn't mind sharing a vote. That would be fine if we were married, but we're not. And I, again, like, contribute to society. I think in this moment, I deserve the right to vote.
Okay.
But I can see where you're coming from, and but yeah, I just don't know where that would make sense in the current day and age.
So I think, would you like to get married to your husband faster? Would that be ideal
I would
for
go
you?
to the courthouse with him right now and marry him, yeah.
So it's my belief that if women didn't have the right to vote, our society would be set up in a way where women could be getting married younger faster, and I think that would actually help you, if that makes sense. Could you see where that would be beneficial?
I don't think that I would have chosen right, like as an 18-year-old, if I married someone that I just dated, and right now I would, like, looking back, that's would have been the worst decision I ever made if I just married whoever I was dating when my frontal lobe wasn't even fully developed.
Okay, so it just seems like we have like different goals for the outcome of the country then, and
I don't agree. I think that I agree with the goals of the country. I'm on the same page as you. I do believe in a traditional family. I want that more than anything. But again, like, I was not making great choices, you know, in college. I didn't know what I wanted, and I didn't even know what I believed in. So how could I pick a partner that...
how are you going to vote correctly if you couldn't even pick a correct partner when you were 18?
Same for a man, though.
But men can. Men are smarter when it comes to this kind of stuff, making decisions for how our countries are
with that. I think that, like, she went to school, she got her master's in, what was it, legal
studies.
Like, she knows a lot more than a man would in that department.
Okay, that's fair. I think most women at 18, if you're saying that you weren't even able to pick a correct partner when you were 18 years old, I don't understand why you'd be able to vote in elections. It doesn't make any sense to me. Could you explain?
I understand where you're coming from, and to be honest with you, I didn't even vote until this last election because I made the choice that when I was younger, I knew that I wasn't prepared to vote because I was uneducated. And I knew that. So that's just my personal thing. I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but I think if you're bless you. I think that what you're passionate about, like, or what you want to educate yourself on, like, you spend the time on, you study, you get to know it.
So do you think you should have to pass a test to be able to vote? Are you open to raising the voting age?
I think that's a great idea in regards to passing a test. I think that we should test the knowledge of Americans. I mean, we're all on our phones constantly. I feel like, this is horrible to say on stream, but, like, I feel like I've honestly gotten dumber as the years have gone because I'm addicted to my cell phone. I cannot get off my cell phone.
And that is actually one of the biggest problems as far as it comes to women voting, because women are way more susceptible to be...
Americans, not just women. And a lot of people, anyone that has a cell phone.
To being manipulated. Well, just women in general are more easily manipulated. That's why they actually got the right to vote in the first place, because they wanted to, or people, basically, the same people that push the propaganda for women to be able to vote are the same people that wanted to use them as a political group, because women are just super easy to manipulate. And besides that, there's actually no reason for us to vote, if that makes sense. Because we don't care about voting.
Why can't women vote on pro-life then?
Are you pro-life or pro-choice?
Personally, I'm pro-life. Personally,
Okay.
I would
I'd agree with
not. I
you.
would not get an abortion. I would never do that. I believe that there's exceptions like rape and incest, but on here I've seen that we don't talk exceptions. We talk whether you are or not. So I'm pro-life. It just makes me sad because I do think that, you know, if you're raped or, like, or, you know, incest or whatever the case is. I think you do have the right to like handle it however you need to, unfortunately, but I don't agree with that.
I can resonate with the exceptions and everything like that, but if you are pro-life and most women are voting against that, why would you want women to continue to vote?
I think, like I said, if you're paying taxes, if you're contributing to society, you have a right. And if that's what she wants to do, then she wants to vote for that, she can.
Do you think that's a better country for women to be
Absolutely.
voting
This is the
to
United
killing
States
a bunch
of
of
America.
babies? Because that's really the trade-off that you're getting.
I mean, that's not the only... I understand what you're saying.
What other benefits do we have for women voting as a country? And how does it push you towards the goals that you want to have as far as marrying your husband and having kids? What benefits does the country get from women voting? I just don't understand.
I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but like I don't even think that our votes matter a lot of the time, to be honest. So it's like this conversation feels like
Theatrical.
yeah, it almost feels useless, but I understand everything you're saying. I just believe that if you're a citizen, you have the right to vote. If you contribute to society, if you pay taxes, that's where I stand. Male or female, it doesn't matter. If you're an adult, you have the right. I understand where you're coming from. I agree with, you know, if you're married, I think that'd be a great idea. Combine your vote with your husband.
Right.
You're a family, you're a unit. So you should be marrying someone that you have pretty much the same views on. I think it's fun to debate my boyfriend. I love talking to him and hearing, we change each other's mind often. I mean, we talk about a lot of things and we enlighten each other all the time, and I really adore that about my relationship, actually. So I do see where you're coming from, but I think it's really special that we're each an individual person. We each can vote individually based off of our own personal experiences and life choices.
Do you think women desire to go out and vote, or do you think that they're being pushed to do so because they're so easily manipulated? Because
I don't think anyone desires to go vote.
I don't either, and especially women. You know, before the 19th Amendment was even like established, there was a poll done, I believe, and I think only 4% of women actually said that they wanted to vote or they had the desire to vote. So it doesn't make sense to me that everybody now is saying, oh, women should vote. And I don't really see the reason for it. I don't even think you really listed a reason for it other than the fact that you just want to have the option to.
Why don't you think women should vote? Like, reason why? Like, give me one good reason.
We are emotionally, so America is supposed to be like a democracy, right? You vote for what you want. But if we have a political group, which I think women are just like a group of people that are so easily manipulated that if somebody is trying to sway our country in a certain direction, they can just manipulate the mass group of women to vote a certain way. And if we're, you know, constantly, like you said, like on TikTok or on Instagram, watching reels and stuff, all of that stuff is pushed in a way to just sway votes, basically.
Right,
And they
totally.
couldn't do that to men as easy.
They can, and they do. They absolutely do. Everyone.
I've never heard a man say, I'm going to vote for him because he has a penis. But I've heard women say, I'm going to vote for her because she's a woman.
Exactly.
Like,
I've heard that. I can understand where you're coming from, but also
so that's what
there's
women
an
are basing their
exception
vote on
there.
genitalia?
That's
how low the bar goes for
Actually,
women
I
when they're
disagree.
voting.
Actually, because we've never had a female president.
And I think that's amazing.
That's a great thing.
I'm not saying. I'm not even like
we
saying my
dodged a
opinion.
bullet for sure.
Right. I agree with that. But beyond that, men vote for their president based off of their genitalia, actually. So that is wrong because
I've
men
never heard a man say that.
Well, they don't need to
why do
say
you-
that.
Why do you think that? Like, what's the reason for you saying that?
For like what part? What
You think men vote on presidents for their genitalia?
No, she was making a statement, so I was kind of combating
Yeah.
it.
Do you agree with that or no?
Not their peanut genitalia, but like male, yeah.
Yeah. Why
Because
do you think they're more
men-
likely to vote for men?
Men are better leaders, and that as like head of the military and all of that.
Right. So,
I mean, like you said, women are emotional, and it's a scary position to be in. As a woman, we're supposed to take care of our children and our families.
no, exactly. I think honestly, if we just stripped your algorithms away from you for like a week, and if you married your boyfriend and you know, had a couple kids, you would really resonate with the fact that you don't want to vote, and you actually wouldn't care if women had
I
the
agree.
right to
I
vote.
agreed with you on that, though.
Yeah.
If I was married, I would be okay with that. But I just have the right, like me paying taxes, like I'm just fighting for the right, because it doesn't matter what anyone's opinion is. Logically, if I'm paying, I shouldn't have to pay taxes then. If you want to go there, let's go there. Like, I don't want to pay taxes then. Like,
Listen, I think that
Yeah.
that's a man. It seems like a man's job to pay taxes.
it does sound like a man's
I think
job.
they should have the responsibilities, and I think we should be submissive to them and
I love
not
that.
argue if we should
Right.
vote, because it just doesn't make any sense.
Well, I have some thoughts on this.
Go for it.
You mentioned the paying taxes thing. What about, though, if it was whoever, I don't know if we would do it by group, but people who were net what's the best framing for it? Not net taxpayers. If you are net, what is the net tax? Oh, there's a specific term for it that's evading me. How about this? Do you think women should be drafted for the military?
I don't want to be drafted for the military.
Fix split, please.
No, I think that they need to hang back and hang with the kids.
But so in order for men to be able to vote, they are subject to military conscription,
Right.
a duty that women have no responsibility towards. So perhaps there's an argument there that while it is true that women are subject to the laws, well, some of the laws of this country, if we're assuming that a possible military conscription scenario would only legally apply to men, they're not fully subject to all the laws in the United States. But to be fair, 99% of laws women are subject to. And, but so women have no duty, no responsibility. Maybe there could be, and they do have to pay taxes, like you said. Although in totality, I think women are actually a net tax burden in total. So women as a group, of course, there are women who are wealthy who pay more into the tax system than they take back out, but women as a group are actually a total burden on the system, whereas men are a total
Benefit.
benefit, I guess is the right framing. So perhaps we could do like a women's vote is worth like three-fifths.
I think that you made a phenomenal point. I think that's a great point. Like, women are not drafted, although this conversation feels like
Gives you the ick.
no, not the ick. It feels like it sucks, because it's like we are going somewhere where women are like literally fighting. Basically, they don't even realize to be drafted. Like, we're getting to a
Yes.
point there in America.
No.
So like you saying that, it's like I do agree with you guys. But it's like, because of the position that I'm put in, I have no choice but to fight for my vote to right. Like, it's because of the position I'm in, though.
And we were put in this position because women were given the right to vote, though. So don't you think if we took that away, we'd kind of improve as a country a little bit, and maybe be in a better position as women?
No,
You don't
I think
think so?
I think Brian was trying to go somewhere, and I think he was getting on a good point. I think that we should all have the right to vote, individually until you're married, and then once you're married, I mean, but then again, that would mess up the entire voting system, because then single people would just stay single. It would just be.
Can I
Well,
pipe in?
I'm one thing, and I'll
that'd
have
be a
you.
problem.
I'll have you. I'm an egalitarian on this particular issue. So, for a few things, I think it's optically bad to suggest we ought to revoke the 19th Amendment, that we should repeal the 19th
Optically, yeah.
Amendment, that we should revoke women's right to vote. Optically, that's terrible. Pragmatically, I don't think that that's going to happen. So I just don't think it's politically tenable to even pursue that. So me personally, my own thoughts, though, is if we are going to do this equality thing, women should be subject to military conscription. Because in order for men to be able to vote, men have to be subject to, they have to register for the selective service. If they don't, it's not just the risk of potentially being forced into the military. It's also, there are actually penalties even if you don't register for the selective service. It's technically a felony, $250,000 fine. You're barred from certain federal programs, from getting certain federal jobs, from getting student loans in some instances. And then it's, of course, just even being able to vote, you have to register and be subject to military conscription. So my position would be, well, no, we're not going to get rid of women's right to vote. We are going to bulldoze women being subject to military conscription.
Yeah.
Now, if it is women's positions or politicians' positions that no, we shouldn't do that, only in that scenario would I say, well, given the inequality that men have this duty and responsibility that women don't, in that circumstances, if there's a definitive, we will not, well, that's the status quo currently, we will not make women subject to military conscription, then we can either reduce the power of women's vote to a half or 3/5 or whatever, or just completely revoke it outright. But that wouldn't be my first step. But it makes sense to me if men have this extra duty and responsibility, and that's the basis for them having access to the vote, you either, in order for equality to exist, women also have to be subject to that, or you have to have a serious conversation about weakening the power of women's vote or completely revoking it.
Right.
It's fair.
I think in a perfect world, nobody would have to go into a draft, unfortunately. And I think that's like where my mind goes, and that's why I go benign.
Can I say something?
Sure.
I believe that women is a very important piece in any situation, in any position, even in the military. Is there places in the military that not specifically you have to have a gun and be in front? It's many places in the military that is nurse, is kitchen, is many places where women can be part and do her best.
Right.
When God created us, God created men and women. If women was not important, then men would be alone in this planet. Obviously, women is a very important piece in any area in this life.
That's just factually not true. Women are not important from a military perspective.
What do you mean?
Well, you said that women are equally important
No,
as
no,
it
no,
relates
not
to the
equally.
military.
Not equally.
Well,
I'm saying that my point of view is women is important in all the areas. It's like supporting your men, supporting, like I said, in the military, not to be in the front line, but is.
I'm okay with the front line. Send them to the front line. Send them to Afghanistan.
No.
Send them. Liberate the poor Afghanistani women who just.
What I want to say is there
fight the Taliban.
Places where women can be putting her, very important part in any situation, in any society, in any. We're important.
Well,
we are.
Sorry, how are we most women are just consumers in America. They're just single women that consume. They
So
don't have
women
families,
is
don't
not
have
important
children.
in a family?
No, but
In a
hold on.
family.
Hold on. The argument is about the military, though. And so.
There's places in the military that you can be.
The kitchen, you
So,
said.
yes, women can be effective in support roles in the military. There's no doubt there. But what we're talking about here is forced military conscription. And, look, realistically, women are not really as capable as men as it relates to being soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Who would watch the children if everyone was drafted?
Not everybody would be.
Who would hang back, handicapped, or who would hang back?
Obviously in military conflicts, not every single citizen is being sent to war all at the same time. But you would agree that there's like plenty of single women who,
Oh, okay.
We-
Yeah, I mean,
however, if we look, if the standard is you can draft a man who has children, why can't you draft a woman who has children? I don't see the issue.
I'm just wondering where the kids go. Like, where do the kids go?
I'm sure that there would
You
be
leave the
one
men
parent
alone.
left. Yeah.
The men can breastfeed.
Oh,
the
okay.
children. They put a little thing on, put the bottles,
Right.
with the pipes. And,
Total.
I think we as women wanted equal rights, and it should go across the board. We should be drafted.
yeah, send them to the front line for.
I mean, we wouldn't
Couple
do so
centuries.
high. I mean, I feel like it should be tested to see where we would belong, but
You wanted to
Yeah,
say
can
something?
can I add something? Yeah, because I grew up in a military family, so I think women can be in the military. Do I think they deserve to be like on a SEAL team? No, not at all. Sorry, but a lot of women are in intelligence. They're not just like working in a kitchen. They're doing Do I think that they have the same physical capacities as a man on the front lines? No.
No.
But women they're smart and they're tactical. So you see them a lot of them in the Air Force, a lot of pilots. But in respect to the draft as well, yeah, I would say if you wanted it equal, then you'd have to draft us as well. I would not like to be. I'd rather stay at home, but I'll support my man in the military, man.
Yeah, look, there are obviously roles that women can exceed at in the military, and in some instances, or perhaps even many instances, they might even exceed at it, possibly better than men. But I don't think we're really, the debate isn't about the capacity or ability of women necessarily. The debate is about men are subject to this thing, military conscription. Women are not. In order for men to be able to vote, they have to be subject to the thing. Women have the vote without being subject to the thing. If we're going to pedestalize equality as some virtue or value in the United States, and that seems to be the case, I mean, that's the whole basis of women having the right to vote. For the sake of equality. Well, thus, ergo, for the sake of equality, women should be subject to military conscription. And even then, even if we were to implement it, I think it would be, in practice, implemented completely unfairly. For example, you would still have men who are drafted to the front line to face potential death, injury, maiming, etc., and women would be drafted to comfortable, air-conditioned office jobs that can be done by military service members. So even then it still wouldn't be fair, but at least for the sake of appearances of equality, yes, women should be drafted. And if they're not, I don't know, man, if it's 2030 and they're not drafted yet, just get rid. Women should just get rid of the right to vote for women. Honestly, just get rid of it. But look, that's not my first position. My first position, women keep the right to vote, but they have to be subject to military conscription. But if we are like, you know what, we're not going to do it. Yeah, they can be they can lose the right to vote, I guess. I don't know.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. And also, I wanted to add, this is like a funny topic, but women bear children, they breastfeed, they have periods. Like, these are all things that men don't have to do.
Well, can the government force women to do any of those things?
No, they can't.
Right. So what we're talking about here.
You just
and-
naturally do have a period.
Well, are women actually doing that? I mean, we have a possible population collapse. Women are waiting until their late 20s, 30s to have children. If they're even having children, they're having children at below replacement value. So women actually aren't holding up their, it's not even a duty really, but the social contract, women aren't having children.
Why? Why do you think?
Feminism.
I don't
Feminism.
agree.
You disagree?
I disagree with you. I think that is a full, like, feminism is real and it's a real thing.
Yeah, it's definitely real. Yeah.
And I see it, but it's so blown up on media, on social media. It's just like, it's exhausting. Like, why don't we talk about like real stuff, like financially? Like, it is so hard to survive. And I know where you're going with that. I know where you're going. Yes, getting married and combining like your incomes with someone else is the smart thing to do. But then it all like kind of falls back into not just feminism, but just our generation in general. It's like everyone is kind of lost and everyone's sleeping with people, and
So feminism? Most of it traces back to feminism.
Okay, I see where you're coming from. I just feel like men do contribute to it more than they realize as well. I mean,
men
it's a
men
whole
have ways that they need to improve. That's
right.
true.
And I think women, unfortunately, obviously feed into it, and it's a cycle. But yeah, I guess you're right. Feminism does ultimately contribute to that.
Well, I mean, there's a whole bunch of angles here as to, okay, because you're essentially asking, well, why aren't women having children? Why aren't they doing this duty, I guess, although I wouldn't really frame it as a duty. So I cite to feminism. Now, feminism has had multiple cascading impacts on why this has occurred. One, you mentioned financials. So financially, you were saying, well, people are delaying having children because they're not in a strong economic position. They can't afford to have kids. They can't afford to have a house, et cetera, et cetera. Part of this is due to feminism. Now, look, I'm not going to claim that all financial woes are due to feminism. There's other factors involved there beyond just this toxic ideology. But one of the big things that we could look at is through feminism, you had essentially a doubling of the labor pool. And so, look, I'm not saying women shouldn't have had the choice to be able to vote, but when there's propaganda pushing women in that direction against family, if you double the labor pool, that's great for corporations. They have more leverage. They have more negotiating power. If the labor pool is bigger, that drives wages down. So in the past, you used to be able to support a family off of one income. And typically this wasn't some in the 50s, some hotshot vice president of some megacorp. You could support a family on one income on, you didn't have to have a super glamorous job to do that. You could be in manufacturing and support a family. You maybe weren't living the most luxurious life, but you could do it on one income. Now that is mostly impossible. Again, I'm not saying women shouldn't have had the choice, but a perhaps unintended consequence of this propaganda push. No, wait until your late 20s and 30s to have children. Focus on career, focus on education, be a boss babe, don't get married, delay. That is going to have a financial impact. And so it's interesting. On one point, women will say, I want a guy men and women should be paid equally. But then you ask them what they want on the micro level in their own relationship. I want a guy who earns more than me. Well, it's very difficult if you want equality on the macro level, but you want an inequality. You want equality on the macro level, but you want essentially inequality on the micro level. So if you're a woman and you want to be a stay-at-home wife, it's going to be very hard for men to navigate the workforce and find jobs that pay enough, because he's not just competing with other men, he's competing with the vast majority of other women too. So there's that. I mean, there's a whole bunch of reasons.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's definitely a lot. And I think being raised up in that, it's like you're just a product of your environment. Like your family, if they're not aware of this, they just tell you while you're, as a woman, growing up as a girl, to wait to get married. Like you're saying, go to school, Like I genuinely only went to college because my family really wanted me to go. I wanted to think about it. I felt like I needed a year to really think about it, and I wanted to figure out what I wanted to do. And I don't regret it. I love that I experienced that and all the stuff. But and I am glad that things happened the way they happened, because I am where I'm at now because of that. But when we are talking on a bigger spectrum, it's naturally everything just kind of started untying and unfolding and crumbling because of things that initially happened. And because we are now in the environment that we're in, we have no choice. Like I was fighting for my right to vote earlier. It's because I'm sorry, like, unfortunately, just because of where I'm at now and I'm paying taxes, I just feel like I have that right. And it's like if I was, living in the 50s or the 60s or the 70s, whatever, maybe, of course, my mind might be different. But because it's 2026 now, oh my God.
Do you consider yourself a feminist?
I don't know. I'm sorry. I actually don't know. I feel like I'm a very traditional woman. I think.
Traditional, okay.
I can sense your like natural desires coming out of like
Right,
wanting
like
to vote, people.
naturally,
yeah.
I'm a Christian woman. I really want, like, I want to raise my children, like.
And most women do.
Right.
I don't think it's not men versus women. Well, it is, but it shouldn't be. It's actually the way to even get close to starting a plan to a solution is that we have to realize it's humans versus the system that they've put us in.
Absolutely.
So I understand what you're saying with, okay, you want the right to vote because we're in a situation where we really can't even get out of it anymore because it's so screwed. I don't know if you have any suggestions on what you would do to get out of this.
Brian, fix the government.
I believe too that our society is very broken with the values because even little kids, you're raising little girls with a very high expectation, like always get the best, always the most expensive, always the most. When we should to raise our daughters, not only our daughters, our sons too, but our daughters, like to be more humble, to today in this society is like, oh, if he don't have a beautiful, the best car, I cannot even look at the man. I cannot even date a man because he don't have these. And we're creating new people with this mentality that the reality is not that. I believe that we should to raise children more humble. I grew up in a family where, farm, where our children was more humble people. You don't buy the things because it's broken. It get broke, and you just throw it in the trash and buy another thing. No, you fix what it get broke.
Here, why don't we do this? Going around the table, are you a feminist?
No.
I guess not, no.
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 Huh, okay. You might be a feminist.
Do you think
don't
I
know.
am?
You might be.
I'm
Well, you said
recovering
you're trad,
feminist.
so you said you're Christian. What denomination of Christian are you?
Non-denominational.
Okay, do you go to church?
I mean,
or-
I was baptized Catholic as a baby. My boyfriend practices Catholicism, but
Okay. Let's see. Do you think we live in a patriarchy?
I actually don't have an opinion on that because I have a bit bigger idea than that. Like, I don't think it's a
which is-
male versus female thing. That's
Okay.
not where my mind is.
What is it?
I just think it's a billionaire versus we all suck thing. They hate us.
The have yachts and have nots.
Right.
Okay.
It's just like we can't win. I'm sorry. Like, it just sucks. Like, we can all have these opinions, but sometimes it just feels like it doesn't matter. And that's where I am with it. It's just, I feel exhausted. I feel sad and tired. And like, I feel like I wake up every day and just like work, and I'm trying my best, and I want to live the traditional lifestyle, but I'm getting there.